Welcome to day 218 of the New Way. I'll read Luke 19:11 through 27. While they were listening to this, he went on to tell them a parable, because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought that the kingdom of God was going to appear at once. He said, "A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king, and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. 'Put this money to work,' he said, 'until I come back.' But his subjects hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king.' He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for the servants to whom he had given the money, in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 10 more.' 'Well done, my good servant,' his master replied. 'Because you have been trustworthy in a very small matter, take charge of 10 cities.' The second came and said, 'Sir, your mina has earned 5 more.' His master answered, 'You take charge of 5 cities.' Then another servant came and said, 'Sir, here is your mina. I have kept it laid away in a piece of cloth. I was afraid of you, because you are a hard man. You take out what you did not put in, and reap what you did not sow.' His master replied, 'I will judge you by your own words, you wicked servant. You knew, did you, that I am a hard man, taking out what I did not put in, and reaping what I did not sow? Why then didn't you put my money on deposit, so that when I came back I could have collected it with interest?' Then he said to those standing by, 'Take his mina away from him, and give it to the one who has 10 minas.' 'Sir,' they said, 'he already has 10. He replied, 'I tell you that to everyone who has, more will be given. But as for the one who has nothing, even what they have will be taken away. But those enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over them, bring them here and kill them in front of me.'" Luke notes that Jesus told this story because he was near Jerusalem, and the people thought he was getting ready to announce the kingdom plans. So Jesus told the story to explain that while he would someday rule the earth, first he was going to go to a far country, heaven, to be appointed king. So the parable is about us, because we live in this time period while Jesus is in heaven, but we know that he will someday return as our king. Listen for the attitude of most of the people in the parable as I reread Luke 19:14. "But his subjects hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, 'We don't want this man to be our king.' Does their attitude toward his being made their king change anything? The fact that someone doesn't want a king does not change the fact that a king has been appointed over them, physically or spiritually. In America, you have a right to complain about the president, but he or she is still the president if duly elected, whether you like it or not. I believe the servants represent followers of Jesus who have invited him into their inner core. I believe that the minas represent all the blessings and gifts that God has given us to be able to spread the good news to those who have not heard about Jesus. Notice that each was given equal amounts. These resources include money, but also include time, talents, health, energy, skills, education, wisdom, and spiritual gifts, etc. When the king returned, he asked for a report on what his servants had done with what they were given. Do you see a relationship between the reward and the way the gifts were used? It seems that the better we use the gifts and blessings that God has given us, the greater the reward. That's called a direct correlation. What did the king do to the servant who chose not to use the gift? He took the gift away. What did the king do to the people who refused him as their king? As you think about this teaching of Jesus, I want you to think about what he is saying will happen when he returns the second time. Remember, he stated that he was the king and that he was going to go away for a while, but would return. We'll discuss this tomorrow. In his service, Dale.